Hello everyone and welcome back to another Babbling Irons video with myself and Sloth today. This is an interesting link, Sloth. I mean, it's not a player link, but it's someone who could potentially be investing in the club. And that is someone, obviously, everyone will know who this is. But yeah, Shaquille O'Neal is in talks with West Ham to buy a stake of the club. The Sun reporting this with a quote from that article saying he went to a game at the end of the season and loved it. It's now a case of whether this financial stack up for him. Shaq is really interested in what deal he could strike. So, I mean, we're seeing it more and more, Sloth, the kind of American US audience coming over into the Premier League. And, you know, we're seeing it with Liverpool, with LeBron James, and, you know, potentially him looking at that kind of side of it. So, I mean, this kind of came out of nowhere. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm surprised I didn't know he was at a game originally, because how the hell do you miss him?
Yeah.
Like, that's a bit of a surprise. But I think it's a really exciting thing, because if anyone knows anything about Shaquille O'Neal, it's that he's like charisma incarnate. Really, he's just lovable, and everyone who I think has met him has just said what kind of nice guy he is, how gracious he is. Now, not to get too far ahead of myself, because he's not exactly in this mad world of football going to be pushing us toward a title. You know, he's probably only going to be looking to buy a sort of minority share.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at it from the mutually beneficial point of view, it could be a really, really smart move for both parties, because he's like the ultimate hype man, particularly in the States. Like, if anyone wants to do a little bit of research into how much he helped Ring Doorbell, like with the sort of financial side of that, before it was kind of like a niche product, it was quite a cool sort of thing to have, but not many people had it. And he did like an advertising campaign. He was really behind it in the States, and it's boomed into what it is today. So
yeah.
It's kind of, I remember going to the States a lot when I'm like growing up, and he's in everything. Like he's Mr. Merchandise almost, and not to a cringeworthy extent, but if anyone is a fan of Kiss, like the rock band, it's that level of sort of merchandising that he does. And I think if a team is lucky enough to get someone like him flying the flag for them, then stateside it's only going to be super beneficial for them.
Yeah, I think it's a massive marketing play if this does come off. And like you say, he's huge in America, literally huge. So yeah, I think looking at the kind of financial side from our perspective, obviously we want new, fresh investment. Again, like you say, this Shaq isn't really going to be the person driving loads of revenue or finances into the club. It's more of, I think it really is more of a marketing play, more of a long term benefit financially for the club in terms of the audience we could capture in America that doesn't currently exist. And yeah, if you look at the kind of overview of what Forbes currently calculate West Ham at, it's funny that it still has our old badge there. It makes me miss it a little bit there.
I know.
But yeah, our team values at $1.1 billion, which is around £880 million. This was calculated as of May this year. So again, you can kind of see where we're valued at right now as a club, and it's slowly creeping towards that £1 billion mark in terms of Great British pounds. And you know, Mike put out a really good tweet on Babbling to kind of link this together. So if they're estimating us at around 880 million, we know that around 25% of that is rumored to be available with the David Gold shares. And so that's kind of giving you 220 million for, you know, DS, David Sullivan, David Gold, and David Krasinski shares. So even like a 10% investment into the club is 88 million pounds, which, you know, is over $100 million. So it's still a substantial amount of money. So how realistic do you think this is to come off, Sloth? Because it's obviously take it with a very, very big pinch of salt, but it would be an interesting move for the club to do this sort of deal.
Well, I think there's the negative part of my West Ham brain, which is like, it will never happen and he's not got enough money to make any difference. But then there's the other part of my brain that sometimes has a bit of common sense in it. And yeah, I think when I engage that part of my brain, it's it's something that for him, he's going to be looking at it and thinking, right, I've got the social media clout, I've got the advertising clout, I've actually got the capital to invest as well. Like he's not short of a few bobs, so he has definitely got 88 million pounds to spare. But he can then look to take the club further, and he can look to use his platform to do so. And if you think about just how much of a platform, not just in the US he has, but in any nation that plays basketball, even if you look at China, like China growing up, and they're now starting to really get into basketball more than they were. And it's they had Yao Ming, who played with him at the Lakers. So was it Yao Ming? I don't know. I just know he was absolutely massive. But but he is still a massive figure there. If you just think of the marketing impact of Shaq saying to him, "Hold up a West Ham jersey," like it's potentially a huge amount. And I think the long-term ramifications of him getting involved and potentially attracting other investors as well is something that he'll be thinking, right, I can probably double my money in the long term. I can get in early, grow this thing to the sort of size that a stadium like ours would suggest, and then just sell up and leave.
Yeah, true. To put it into perspective, like you say, the social media following he has, West Ham on Instagram, I think they have around 4.5 million followers. Shaq has 34 point something million followers. So he's got a crazy, almost 8 or 9 times what we have on Instagram, just as one platform as an example. So the marketing value is so high. It's just whether or not it kind of takes away a little bit of what sort of investment we're looking for right now. But again, it's 10% is still $100 million, so it's not like a small investment at all. And it would be interesting to see what happens with this one, because we're kind of in limbo as a club a little bit. We've obviously moved to the London Stadium with aspirations of taking the football club to the next level. And I think the way football's heading, it's becoming a lot more commoditized. You need these types of investments to kind of put yourself on the market. And I think since we've moved to the London Stadium and played in Europe, there's no doubt we've increased that tenfold. Absolutely no doubt that we've done that. But this is a different level. Like you say, that US audience, which is growing in West Ham US audience is definitely growing. But this just takes it to the next step. So be interesting to see what happens. I'd also be interested to see what game he actually went to, because there hasn't been that many interesting games of recent memory. Maybe he went to the Bayer Leverkusen match or something. But yeah, I don't know. I'd take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, what do you rate this chance of happening, Slough? How percentage wise, if you could scale it up right now?
I think in the world of business, you never really set yourself up to grade anything in terms of the realisticness of it happening. I think it's one of those where I'm not connected enough. I'm not smart enough, to be honest, to even mark this out of 10. But I think purely from a business point of view, if he's looking at, the fact that we were the villains in Ted Lasso, all that kind of thing, the fact that Green Street, people, like, I still go to the States and people go, "Oh, Green Street," and I'm like, yeah, that one. Like it, we do have a platform there to build on, and I think if he's thinking from that angle of how he can grow it, then I'd say it's a smart investment. But the old cliche is you never make money in football. I just think that this is maybe, with things developing with the stadium, if we take outright ownership of that, he'll be laughing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's definitely one to keep an eye on, because the ownership and what the likes of David Sullivan plans to do with the club as well is still very much in limbo. And we don't really know what sort of direction they want to take it. There's obviously rumors and talks that David Sullivan wants to take more of a back seat in the long term. So yeah, I think new investors, new financial power is going to be something that comes out a lot in the media. So right now, take it with a pinch of salt. It's obviously an interesting link to have for West Ham. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with this. Let us know in the comments what you make of it. Would you like to see the Shaq man at West Ham as a kind of investor. It would be interesting to see it. But yeah, let us know in the comments down below what you think. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel as always. And Sloth, until next time.
Come on, you
On your
irons.
irons.